Yeah, hi guys. So yesterday we have discussed more about some components, right, on installation. So we have started with SQL Server 2005 and what are the minimum requirement. And if you want to do installation, the SQL Server like SQL Server version and edition, Windows Server and hardware and software, okay, .NET framework and on based on your version. How to verify the .NET framework version and Windows installer, so these are our minimum requirements. And also we have discussed about what is instance, and is like it's like a database engine is a copy of SQL Server.exe executable that runs as an operating system service. So that's what even Microsoft also claim same thing, and we are also doing the same so it is nothing but SQL Server.exe file. Okay, it's like a combination of memory structure along with the background, and it's a collection of databases. That means whenever you are installing the SQL Server, no user databases will be created. By default, system database will created, no user database will create. We are going to discuss that parts, and yesterday we also discussed about two types of instance. One is named instance and another one is a default instance. And the default instance is nothing but your computer name, your server name, whatever the name you mention for the server, same name will be applicable for the default instance. So that's what we have discussed about instance and a couple of concepts. Again, we are performing two kinds of installation, and one is a standalone and is cluster installation. Standalone installation, and another one is cluster installation. SQL on standalone, SQL on clusters. As of now, forgot about SQL on clusters. We are going to discuss later in advanced level. Okay. So now we are focusing on standalone installation. Now we are focusing on standalone installation means, assume you got a request and you got a work order. Mostly you will get this service request. So technically we can call work order. Technically we can call it as work order. Start with WO work order. It will start with six zeros, WO six zeros, and some value like WO 0000 6 zeros and 9546 some value. If you will receive the service request, it will start with SR. When you go for a BMC remedy ticketing tool, you will see work order WO starting with WO. When you go for service now, your service request start with SR. Service request mostly will receive this. Service request means technically you can call it is as a build request. You can call it as build request, and you are going to build a new SQL server whenever you receive as a standard in your project. So we are going to follow the all the standards. Like mostly if you are informing your application team, so I need to something, then we install the that components. Otherwise, you can go for a default features. We'll go for the default features. That's what. Now we got a request to install SQL Server on standalone. Now you got a request to install SQL Server standalone on your machine. What is standalone means? If something happened to your server, completely your SQL server will down, right? Completely SQL is down. If something happened, but high availability, you can more options. But on that high availability, we have one more option called clusters. We are going to group the servers right in clusters. We are going to group the servers clusters. If you are installing SQL on clusters, that is something happen to any server automatically. Your server will move to the other server, and your SQL server will move to the different server. Means we have two VMs, VM1 and VM2. Now, if you go for standard installation, like whatever we are going to on your laptop, your desktop, when you are installing standalone, if something happened to this VM, your completely SQL will be down, right? But when you install on cluster for keep something happen to VM, automatically your SQL server will move to the another server application to run. In standalone, is something goes from in something happened to your server and something happened, so your completely your SQL server will down on standalone installation. And we are going to discuss standalone installation now. And when we are going to discuss clusters and always on, and we are going to discuss SQL server, SQL on clusters, SQL on VMs. Almost of the time your production servers will be part of clusters only. Nowadays we are not using that much SQL on clusters because there is major drawback when you are installing SQL on clusters. Okay, so because when you install SQL on clusters, it won't use your traditional storage, means it won't use your disk. Suppose this is my disk, so when you install the cluster, it won't use a disk, normal disk and regular disk, so it must should contain the shared disk. It's like a SAN disk. If something happen again, you should SQL will be down. And when you compare with traditional disk, SAN disk very risky because they are working with networks. No worries, forgot about cluster. We are going to discuss clusters on different sessions. Now focus on standalone installation. We are getting opportunity to install SQL Server on standalone. Now that is your first request. Okay, whether you are going to install on a standalone or SQL on cluster. Mostly SQL on standalone or SQL on cluster. Mostly 90% will get the standalone. Only 10% we will get it SQL on cluster. Now that is the first requirement. And which version, which edition, and hardware and software already mentioned already here. And now license details. So mostly by default automatically you will get the license, sir. When you are installing SQL Server, no need to change the license. Just you need to select the box. Just we need to accept the license. By default it will get the license from the value. Okay, license in the key whatever yesterday I shown you, right? So 16-digit key by default it will get it whenever installing SQL Server. In case if you're not getting the that key, you need to ask with application team, can you please provide the license so that we can install SQL like that. Clear, right? Because when you are installing SQL Server standalone, your data is stored in the local disk. You are installing SQL on clusters, your data will store in the SAN disk. It is very very risky. Now this position very very important. Binary location means where I need to store my SQL Server binary files, where I need to store MDF files, where I need to store my log files, where I need to store my backup files, where I need to store my tempdb files. So these are very very important. These are very best practices you need to follow when you are installing SQL Server. I'm telling, so data files should be separate drive, and the log files should be separate drive. You can keep backup files and log files same disk, that up to your mark. If you are creating separate disk for backups and log files, it is well and good. So they don't have spend more amount for the disk. They can keep log files and backup files with the same disk. That is acceptable. I'm not telling no to the mark. Make sure tempdb and data files should be contained separate disk. Log files need to be available in separate drive, and all the binary files should be available. Either you can keep in C drive or you can keep in a different drive, up to your point. And what is your yeah, what is your company strategy you are following on in this case. So you are getting a new project, sir. In case you are getting new project, then you need to educate your application team as for the best practices. So we need to keep data files in the separate drive, log files in the separate drive, mdb files need to separate drive, mdb database need to be separate drive. Because to reduce the tempdb contention, we are going to discuss as well. So these 5 binary files very critical. As a database administrator, we need to follow the standards. And binary files should be separate drive, data files should be separate drive, log files should be separate drive, backup files should be separate drive. And we can keep backup files and log files one folder, it is fine. But tempdb must and should in separate drive. So these are our best practices you need to follow whenever you're installing SQL Server. You need to ask whenever your already project is working for long back, like years working. When you got opportunity to work on that project, you need to see what level of configuration you are following whenever installing SQL Server. What are the best practices you need to follow? Make sure that you need to maintain the service accounts. Make sure you need to store the all your binary files and MDF, LDF backups and StempDB in separate drive to improve the performance. Very important. We are going to discuss what is the data file, log file location in while. So very important. All these are very important. Now authentication mode. We have two types of authentication modes, and Windows authentication mode and a mixed authentication mode. No worries. We have the security concept. We are going to again. We will come back the all this concept in one by one coming sessions. So what are the major components in I require to install SQL Server? What is the major input information I need to gather before I need to install SQL Server? Version edition and file location, authentication mode. Mostly as a best practices will prefer Windows authentication. We never mostly we prefer whenever we never prefer mixed authentication, means SQL logins. Whenever we'll prefer Windows login, we will prefer the Windows logins because it was logins are more secure. Windows logins are more secure because all your Windows logins are created from the Active Directory level. All logins created from the Active Directory level. So that is why we will mostly prefer the Windows logins. Something also, so one is asking you how many authentication modes are available in SQL Server. You need to tell two Windows. You need to tell two Windows authentication mode and a mixed authentication mode. Which one will prefer? I will prefer for Windows authentication mode because it's more secure authentication mode to connect the SQL Server. No worries. Again, I am telling we are going to discuss this concept in security part clearly. What is Windows authentication? What is mixed authentication? How to create SQL logins? How to create Windows logins? We will discuss clearly the security part. Now, service account. Service account is very important. I already discussed yesterday, right? It is very important. Every organization they will follow their own strategy. I am not telling they will follow only this kind of service account, but definitely they will create the service account request as per the best practices. You need to make sure SQL Server need to run the service account because one reason I will tell you, you peoples can understand easily. We have two different SQL Server instances. We want to get the data from one instance to another instance. If our SQL Server is not running with service account, it is not possible, sir. So to get the data from one instance to another instance, to read the data, to manipulate the data, your SQL Server, both SQL instances need to talk each other. How will talk to each other means with help of service accounts. With help of service account, they will talk each other. So make sure that always should need to run SQL Server with service account. When you are enable mixed mode, we need to provide a SA account password. SA means nothing but SA is nothing but system administrator. When you are enabling mixed mode, you need to provide the SA password. Means either you can ask your team members what is the SA password we are maintaining here. Same password maintaining all the instances. Same password we are maintaining for all these SQL Server instances are a different we are maintaining, and every application we are maintaining separate password. That what you need to ask your team members when you enable the mixed mode. It will ask to provide the password, so SA that password you need to ask for your team lead or your team managers, or you can check with information for your team leaders, your SME. So that is once one again one more point to make note. So explicitly they telling enable mixed mode, then you need to get the SA password. No need to worry about concept. We'll discuss again in security part. Now very important option, very interesting option is collation. Collation is nothing but language. By default will is Latin general. By default will is Latin general, sir. Is nothing but English. In case your application team explicitly telling, okay, we require the collation, we require this collation, make it is clear notes. If you forgot to change the collation before you install the SQL server, later once install the SQL server, it's again bit challenging towards the change the collation of SQL server. Okay, everyone, if explicitly your application team is telling, I need I require this collation, then whenever you're installing SQL server, you need to select that collation. If you're not selecting that collation and you will install SQL, you will install SQL with the default collation. Later again, you need to face a lot of challenges whenever you want to change the collation of master database means SQL collation. Please be careful when they are explicitly telling. Again, I am telling for explicitly telling about this tools. Explicitly, they are telling about this collation and a mixed mode, and then you need to follow the standards. Otherwise, you'll go for default installation. Make sure don't make any very cluster. You need to take all the inputs. These are all inputs are so many inputs are these are all inputs are to say enterprise edition, binary files, location, and authentication mode, service account, and the certain components. What I need to install. They are telling I require integration service. I require reporting services. I need to Power BI services. I need to analysis services. Explicitly, if they mention that service, you can install. Otherwise, you will install only database engine service. From SQL Server 2016 onwards, Microsoft come up with a new tool called Power BI. We have the sessions for no need to worry. We have separate session for integration service and SSAS service, SRS service, or BI service. As a DBA, what activities will do with all these components, BI components? I will explain you. No worries. At the end of our session, we have two sessions. We are going to spend around some hours to discuss what activities we'll do in SSIS, SSAS, SSRS, and Power BI as a databases. That everything I'm going to explain. What are the requirements, versions, what are the requirements, version, edition, binary file location, and authentication mode, and SA password, and service account. What are the features I need to install? Okay, collation. This is all very very important whenever you are installing SQL server. Until unless you got this information, don't blindly install the SQL server. So whenever you're installing the SQL server, will copy the all binary file locations. In real world, they will follow the one network path. You don't know if you don't know the network path. I will show you in future session about to create the network path. So assume this is my network path. It is a regular normal traditional folder. I am creating it as a network path. Okay. So this is a normal regular path. Go to properties and go to settings. If you want to create network path, is already created, right? Is creating network path. Okay. So first you need to ask your team members where your binary files are available means, and where our set of files are available. So they will provide network path your project team. So first you need to get it, sir. Now first you need to connect to the server and go to run. You will get all the set of files in real world also. These are all my binary files. Whatever your version is required, you can copy and paste your server. And in your this path, you will get the all the folders in your project related data along with the set of files related data, everything. You need to copy into the servers. Okay. Don't install directly in path. You can copy the server and after that you can install it. Don't do that stage behavior for understanding. So don't cut and paste this. This is network path. Everyone is copying from here only. You need to copy and paste to the server. You need to copy and paste to the server. Now one more thing. When you open the network path, when you open SQL server when you open SQL Server 2019, you will get different folders. You need to copy entire folder. Again, when you are got an installation, because some servers are very faster. When you got a request to install the new SQL server, what you need to do, link to the servers first, verify whether you are able to connect to the servers or not. Once you connect to the servers, verify all the disks are available or not, and verify CPU, what is memories, and then copy the setup file to the server. Then raise the request to the service request. Then keep ticket in pending state, and whenever you got new build request, and day one you need to do connect to this SQL server, connect to the server, verify all the prerequisites like the disk are available, what is the CPU, what is the memory, then copy the setup file, and now raise the service request for service account. May mention, you can mention in ticketing tool, like also like copied the binary files to the server, request to the service request, and provide the service request also in the ticket. Keep ticket pending state. Definitely it may take 2 days, 2 days or 3 days to get the service accounts, because you need to get service accounts, right? It may take 2 days or 3 days to install SQL server, because you need to get the service accounts, right, before install SQL server. But in certain cases, sometimes application team come to you, ask emergency basis. Sometimes generic follow. Sometimes this is generic follow will follow. Connect to the server, will validate all the prerequisites, copy the binary files, will write the service request, and will make the ticket pending state until unless we got service request. So we want to install basically in generic. So but urgency base, the application team will come and hey, install SQL server. In case that you can install SQL server with local accounts, you can install SQL server with local accounts, and tell to application team on urgency basis we have installed the SQL server with the local accounts. Once service account got created, you should provide the downtime for us to change the service accounts. To change service account, you need to update your application team. Once install the SQL server, when you are dropping mail to application team, you should drop mail like on urgency basis we have installed SQL server with the local accounts. Once a service account got created, you should provide the downtime for 15 to 30 minutes to change service request, like that. I have explained two scenarios, so try to understand. That's what I told you. Okay. Next installation complete in just like but this is what in real time what exactly will do means, whenever you got request, first connect to the server. If you're not able to connect the servers, what will do? If you will not able to connect to the servers, you need to contact with the Windows team, to contact with the server apps team. So some people will call Windows team, some people will call server apps team. So you need to contact with the server team, you need to contact with Windows team. Definitely there will be one group to authenticate the Windows servers you are maintaining. You need to ask them, hey, can you please add this group on this local administrator, so that we can able to authentication, so that we can authenticate the server. So that is what you need to do first thing. So what mostly everyone will do, some couple of peoples, not everyone, couple of peoples. Once you got the request, you need to raise the request, and they will keep ticket in pending on yourself, and your service account take 2 days, right? And the third day they will try to connect the servers, not able to connect the server, and your application team and drop out the mail, hey, what is the update, what is the server build or not. If you contact your Windows team, they won't work, and they will do it later. So again they will take some time, right? That will make the escalation. And first of all, what is free, that you need to check. What is the post, you need to check. You can tell to application team also, service got late, so that is why your build got somewhat delay. So please, again my humble request, whenever you got request, first you need to connect the servers. Not able to connect the servers, ask your Windows team or server apps team. If you're not able to find the disks in the server, you can ask your Windows team or server apps team. Either you can drop mail or don't drop mail. If you need to create task, you need to create the task. You can create separate for them, and within the service request you can create the task for that up to your mark. Either you can create task, or you can create hey, I got so and so on build request, I'm not able to access the server, so can you please grant the permission to authenticate server. Once you copied set of file to the server, I copied the set of files. Now what you need to do, set of file, we have one ISO file, there is one set of file in the application. Go to set of file, right click and run as administrator. This is a setup look like. I'm going for Windows. I'm going for SQL Server 2005. Let me go to SQL Server 2005. Go and run as administrator. Let me go for 2016. Yeah, this is how your 2000 SQL Server 2005, and this is how your SQL Server 2014, and this is how your SQL Server 2019. Why I am going to 2014? You will get one idea, because it is very very important interview questions, and just keeping all the set of files. Okay, and this is my SQL Server 2005, and this is my 14, this is my 2016. So Microsoft keep on enhancing the graphical user interface, right? And also when you go for installation, when you go to installation and installation window, you will see lot of differences from SQL Server 2014 to 2016 onwards. So SQL Server by Microsoft from 2016 onwards. So Microsoft lot of enhancement done. This is my 2016 window. This is my 2014 window. Installation, we're able to see all the standalone installation and cluster installation, and add node and upgrade, add node and upgrade. When you go for 2016 server management studio, and install tools, and forgot about R language. These are two important changes for Microsoft made. And one more thing also I need to explain to you. See, before SQL Server 2014, your SQL Server Management Studio and SQL Server reporting services and data tools as a part of installation. SQL Server 2016 onwards, SQL Server Management Studio and reporting services and your data tools has been separated. It is first change made from SQL Server 2016 on the installation part. And make note, very very important questions. What are the changes made? What is the difference? We will see from SQL Server 2014 to and 2016 means you can go for installation. When you go for the installation, and your SQL Server Management Studio and reporting services and data tools has been separated from regular installation. Means whenever you are installing SQL Server, three components are separated. These three components are a part of installation in SQL Server 2014. From SQL Server 2016, in the SQL Server you cannot install SQL Server Management Studio, you cannot install data tools, you cannot install reporting services, because these three has been separated from the regular installation. It is very very important again. It is first point. I told you, right? We are completely working with the standalone installation. We are completely working with standalone installation. Before I simply go for installation, go to planning. Before SQL Server installation, you need to check system configuration checker. It won't take much time. Whenever you're starting your career, whenever you got opportunity to install the SQL Server, what you need to do, just go on planning, just click the system configuration checker. This perform the system configuration checker. It will check the your hardware and software information, whether it is compatible your SQL Server 2014 or 2016 or 2017 or 2019, 2022. It's this performance, all the checks, 10 checks, all the checks has been successful. So that is has been checked, and all the and setup and setup administrator and restart and WMI and registries incompatibility. It's validated product incompatibility, and the .NET framework it's validated. It's validated around 10 sets. Warnings you can ignore it. Errors you need to fix it. Means, for example, you are not compatible with you are not having .NET framework. current version, definitely will get such kind of warnings. So make sure that you need to follow the all the best practices. So this is what first thing. If people do it whenever your opportunity to install SQL Server, or one more thing you need to check also, and tools, install SQL Server feature discovery report, and install SQL Server discovery report. What it will do is validate the any SQL Server related service are installed on your machine or not. It will get complete information. If you having any 2016 related information, it will get it on your machine. And the discovery reports will tell us there is any services which is installed. Okay, with information what you can get it by discovery report. Mostly whenever installing first time. Mostly whenever you are installing first time, mostly it won't get it any data. But if you are already installed SQL Server, you will get it some component information. So such kind of information you can see here. And when you go to installation, not sure parallelly we can install, definitely it will files. First it will go to 2014, and later we can see 2016. Once you go to installation, now click to new SQL Server standalone installation or add features to existing installation. Close everything. You already install SQL Server and you wanted to add some feature to SQL Server, existing SQL Server, and also you need to go for this option only. All you want to install new is SQL Server, you need to go this option only. So now click to next. Please take product updates. Now you may ask one question. If you want to install SQL Server, we require internet connection. No, right? Again, I'm going to tell you one point. No SQL Server will maintain the internet connection, because SQL Server is nothing but databases, right? So there are more want to more secure. Your internet will be disconnected. You cannot open any network on your SQL Server. So make this point also, and accept the license and click on next. Now SQL Server installation. Install SQL Server database engine service and SQL Server replication. If someone is asking, so analysis service and reporting services, integration service, and other features, then you need to select SQL Server features. All you would be SQL Server components. This is what, or else you can go for database engine service, and you can go for replication services. Any version you can see, but in this 14 is not reflecting. Now I am going to install a database engine service and replication services. Two services you need to select. In case if your application team is asking full text services, then you need to go the full text service. Otherwise, when you are selecting database engine, and select the replication as well. If application team explicitly asking, then you can select, otherwise ignore it. This is binary files, you can keep in C drive, or you can keep other drive, separate drive as well. That is up to your organization. I'm not telling that you should keep in C drive. If you having, they are hesitating to create one more disk to store binary files, then you can keep it in C drive. Otherwise binary files location also you can keep different drive, because when you got corrupted your OS, something happened to your operating system, you're going to format C drive, right? That is the reason. Because C drive will corrupted, your SQL also will down, right? SQL also will format. That purpose, either you can keep C drive, or you can keep in different drive to your project best practices. Okay, you need to uh, educate your application team. Will keep all the binary files in separate drive. That is nothing but it contains only 20 GB. It is fine. Just keeping 20 GB. It's good for SQL Server to store all the binary file location. We are not storing any data, right, on that location. Just to 20 GB means we can sufficient for us. Now very important, instance I told you, right? So either you can install a default instance, either you can install named instance. If you go for a default instance, I told you, right, by default we will get it MS SQL Server. No need to provide any names. No need to provide any names. For default we will get it MS SQL Server. When you go for a named instance, you provide name. When you go for default, you will get it MS SQL Server. and also showing how many instance are has been available my laptop. Only one instance in available in my laptop. Now I'm going for named instance UAT. If you are selecting reporting service, you will get it reporting service. If you are selecting integration service, you will get it integration service. If you are selecting analysis service, you will get it analysis service. If you are selecting full text services, you will get it full text services as well. Every feature having this own service account. I told you right, whenever you're installing SQL server, you should provide a service account. And though so this is my default service account. See, NT services are the default service account. And Windows level built-in administrator accounts. Don't prefer built-in administrator accounts until unless there is urgency. You don't select the built-in accounts once you already raise service account request, right? What you need to do, go for the service account and browse it, and you need to check the names. You can okay, that's it. Otherwise you can go for default. If emergency will be there, you can go for default. Otherwise you can select, you need to select. In real world you can, in real world you can get it active directory. So in clusters, in always on session, we'll get it here active directory. Whatever active directory service accounts will be available, it will display here. You can select it, and after that you can check names. In case if still not able to find, you need to contact with your active directory team, so that technically you can privilege team. Either you can call privilege team also. You need to contact the active directory team. Now whatever names will be there, you can find it. Just run just browser service. And the browser you can keep it local accounts, or no worries. Account browser you can keep it process local account. What is browser service, we'll discuss in while. Just browser service you can run with the local accounts. Now go for collation. Now collation, as I told you right, it is a Latin general. By default collation is nothing but English language. So almost 30 plus languages will be available. Microsoft going to support 35 plus languages. We need to support Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, Portuguese, different languages. Microsoft is going to support 35 languages. It is going to support. Sir, mostly 70 to 80 people will go for the default collation. Only in case application team is explicitly asking, you need to choose that collation. Which is application team is asking that collation, you need to select. From here need to run the SQL Server installation. Please be careful what collation your application team is asking. You need to select. Collation is nothing but language. Okay. For example, for your simple understanding, it's language. By default it will be Latin general as a English language. Then click to next. Now I told you right, Windows is very important. Either you can go for Windows authentication mode. So if application team is asking mixed authentication mode, you need to select mixed authentication mode. So when you select the mixed authentication mode, you need to select SA password. SA password that you need to provide here. This position again, I'm going to in security part. I will come up with this position in security session. When you are installing on a laptop or desktop, you can add a current user. Add current user means whatever the user you're connected to the laptop or desktop, user automatically will fix in real world. You need to add your group as well. What is your group, you need to add also. Who can access SQL server, that group you need to grant the permission, and yourself as well. You are not specifying any username, but definitely you need to select one of the user, but don't select add a current user in real world. Okay, you need to select add current user in your practice purpose. In real world, you need to click add user. Need to provide your group names, your DBA, your groups are your DBA groups. Definitely we are maintaining groups in your organization. Now go to data directories. I told you right. I told you backups on which drive, temp DB on which drive, data files which drive, and log files on which drive, and MDF files on which drive. As I told you, right, this is very, very critical. This is very important, sir. When you need to store my user databases, when I need to store my log files, when I need to store my backup files, when I need to store my tempdb file, specify your drive locations. You need to specify your drive location. So I'm having only one drive, so selecting C drive only. In real world, different drives will be there, right? You can go for separate drives, and data files you can go to separate drive, and log files you can go to separate drive. TempDB you can go to separate drive, and temp log also you can go to separate drive. Backup files also you can go to separate drive, and a very important file stream. I'm not discussing file stream now. We'll discuss in separate session about file stream. File stream nothing but if you want to store any images, text documents, file stream will be improve the performance. For that purpose will enable the file stream. So under this future sessions, I'm going to discuss about file stream. As of now, you can ignore it and click to next. Now everything will be installed. Okay. We are getting some warnings, right? Because it is end of the support. That's why we are getting some warnings. See, it is end of life, right? That's why it is not supporting our system. Here, when you are installing here, one inc file will get it, config.ini file. That is nothing but silent installation. Today we are not discussing silent installation. Today we are not separate session how to install silent installation, how to slip to stream. These two we are going to discuss. Take one more session. Once strong at once strong, everyone become strong at installation. We are going to discuss. Now. That's it. Now let me go for SQL Server 2026. I want to show you, and whenever you are installing SQL Server 2014, and after 2014 other changes made by Microsoft, very important. And first I show you, right, in 2014, and Microsoft SQL Server data SQL Server Management Studio, and SQL Server Management Studio and SQL Server Data Tools, and has been separated from SQL Server 2026 onwards. When you go for installation, SQL Server Management Studio and SQL Server Data Tools has been separated, and from SQL Server 2016 onwards. When you go for SQL Server installation, I already told you, right? Product key. When you go to next and accept the license, it is checking product details. You can ignore warnings. Under feature selection, see database engine service and SQL Server replication server. Forgot about R language and full text, and data quality service and analysis, data quality client, reporting services. This is not reporting service. When you installing the SQL Server, you follow the best practices, and so reporting services and SQL Server Management Studio and SQL Server Data Tools, and as separated from regular installation, right? That is one thing. And when you go for the SQL Server installing, you need to follow the best practices. This is a new enhancement done Microsoft SQL Server 2016. Make yourself reporting services and SQL Server Management Studio and TempDB. This is the window newly added in SQL Server 2016. And go to next. I'm going prod, and service account and collation. Nothing has been changed. Nothing has been changed. Enter the SA password. Add current user. The directories you need to select. Now TempDB has been separated, right? 2014 to and 2016. TempDB has been separated. Separate. This has been enhancement by Microsoft. The select analysis services current user, and the data directories you need to. If you want to change it, or else you can keep it as this. Real world can must and should change it. If you install, it will get installed. Okay. When you go for SQL Server 2019, there are two more windows has been added along with TempDB. Go to new standalone. Go to next. You can select instance features. Have selected database and engineering service and SQL Server replication and data quality services. and analysis services and data quality client integration services. I told you right. After enhancement and reporting services and database management has been separated and data tools also has been separated. Go to next. I don't have any default instance. I'm going default instance in 2019. I told you right later in last class every computer you can install one default instance. 49 instance you can go for named instance. I don't have any default instance. That's why I have selected in the 2019 version default instance and you can go for collection as a default. Now I'm selecting mixed mode. I'm providing SA password, add current user and data directories. In real world, you can make it change it and data files you can keep it in separate drive and log files you can keep it in separate drive and backup files you can keep it in separate drive and temp db is added right. 2016 also it is available and 2019 is it is available. And here 2016 and 2019 there is added max drop and memory it is added. Okay. And what is max drop and what is max drop and what is memory, and I was not discussing in this concept something different. Memories will be we are going to discuss in separate session. And what is max drop, what is memory, and what is file stream troubleshooting. Okay, after 2 days, because once you install SQL Server, once everyone is comfortable for installation, and once you are stronger with become strong in installation, we are going to discuss. Just to download Windows 10 and configure your operating system. We have option called database management system. Go to next, add current user, keep it as it is your data directories, go and install. Meanwhile, okay, we have called SQL Server Management Studio. We have option SQL Server Management Studio in your laptop or in your server. SQL Server Management Studio, you can type SSMS. I'm telling before you install, go for program files, and here turn on Windows features. Turn on Windows features on and off. Now install by default in your laptop option. Now by default in your laptop .NET framework is install or not, you will get it here. Okay. You need to install, you can go and install directly on your machine. Okay, by default we will get it installed .NET framework. By default, when you are installing operating system, you will get it .NET framework 2.3.5. If not, you can install. And 2014 compatible with SSMS with shortcut. In case you have SSMS 2014, you can type in run command SSMS, you will get it. Otherwise, you will not get SSMS option. And 2016 onwards, they removed SSMS shortcut in run command. In case if you have 2014 SSMS version, you will get it in run command. And after 2016, they has been removed and they provided a direct option SSMS. Okay, this is my SSMS. Whatever installed SQL Server, right? We will get it here, and I need to connect to SQL Server. So we have Microsoft provided SQL Server Management Studio. For Oracle, they provided TOED, Toad, and MySQL. They have provided Workbench. Workbench is the tool to connect to MySQL Server. Toad is the connect to Oracle. Like same SQL Server, like same. SQL Server, Microsoft provided SQL Server Management Studio, right, to connect to SQL Server. So I told you, right, as of now, only database engine go for. In coming sessions, we go for analysis services. Coming sessions, we can go for analysis service, reporting services, in the integration service. As of now, you can go for a database engine service. Here you can search what is your instance name, browse more, and what is the instance is available, you will get it here. Okay, I have two instances. I want to connect this instance. I have connected. If you know the instance name, you can directly pass the instance name and we can connect it. If you already know the instance name, you can connect it direct. That is the shortcut. Okay. If you by default no need to pass any instance name, you can connect directly from server name. If it is a named instance, you need to pass the server name with the backward slash instance name. We have multiple authentications here, and this is your SQL Server instance. This contains databases, contains securities, contains server object, and it contains replication, and polybase, always on availability, management, integration service, catalogs, SQL Server agent, and extent profiles, and many components. When you go for subcomponents, also we have many subcomponents. We have many subcomponents inside the. Okay, 2019 setup has been successfully installed. Okay. You can see here 2019 instance. I told you right. Because default instance will be there. This server name or your computer name. This is my computer name. That's why by default we'll get it. In real world, it will come by your server name. Okay. So many components when you go for again components also see sub components when you go for the server objects also sub components, and security also sub components, and go for management also again sub components. These are all sub components are available in SQL Server. We are going to discuss throughout our sessions one by one. This is how we need to connect the SQL Server via SSMS. If I want to connect SQL Server Management Studio from command prompt and open command prompt as administrator mode, by default SQL Server will provide the SQL Server CMD utility. Okay, that is we are going to discuss later. Okay, now how to connect to SQL Server via CMD means SQL CMD space hyphen S instance name. This is my instance name space E. This is nothing but instance name, sir. You need to pass the instance name. E is encryption. Connection are encrypted. Now I have connected to the SQL. This is our your management. Okay. In command line. From command prompt, you cannot see all the object, but when whatever activities you are doing from SQL, SSMS, all the activities you can see from command line as well. Now I want to see how many processes are running in your machine. How many processes are running? I can see when you run sp underscore who2. After that you need to go end with go command. If any query you can writing in command line with go every command. See how many processes are running in backend. You're able to see in the command line also, in GUI also, when you go for sp underscore who2, same processor, whatever you are running in GUI, same processor in command line also you can see. Background I can see. These are all process, lazy writer and log writer. Whatever you are seeing in GUI, same thing you can see in command prompt as well. How many sessions are running? When you when you're working from CMD, every command need to end with go. Every command need to see here also. And also your same process, but this is from command line. This is from graphical user interface. The mostly when you will try to connect every time from graphical user interface to make work every very faster and very smoother, but in certain time you need to connect from command line as well. How to connect SQL Server with command prompt, and how to connect SQL Server with the graphical user interface. Now I just walk through in couple of things in SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, to become more stronger in SQL Server. Once you open SQL Server Management Studio, you will get Object Explorer, right? If you by mistakenly if you close that, if by mistakenly you close that, then don't confuse. Go to View and open File Explorer. If press F8 also, you will get it. Either you can press F8, you can go for View and you can open Object Explorer. That is the one thing. And if you want to disconnect your instance, you can click to disconnect. If you want to connect, you can connect instance. That is one thing if you want to run If you want to run any queries, you can go to new query window. I want to create a database and create database. You can write command as well. If you want to execute, you can click on F5 also. This is your shortcut. And if you want to parse the query, it is correct or not, you can parse query also. If it is incorrect, it is throwing here error. If you want to validate, you can click parse. If you want to execute it. If you want to open new query window, you can open n number of windows. You can open n number of query windows. This is up to your marks. If you want to close, just you can close and no need to save. Just click on no. If you want to change, please be careful. If I need to change the instance name and I connect to n number of instances on SSMS, I can connect n number of instance from SSMS. I can connect multiple instance in one time if necessary. Please be careful when you connect to multiple instances. Please be careful. This query window is connected which instance, which database. Please be careful because if you are connected multiple instance at the time, this query window connected which instance, which database, you can change here also. Go to connection and change connection. You can go and connect instance here also. I have just to walk throughout our tomorrow onwards. We are getting all these queries. No worries. Okay, no worries. I'm just walking through the SSMS. Now, if you want to change connection and if you want to change query window itself, click here and in query window itself, you can change it. Now I can connect instance. So don't afraid if you disconnected my SQL server will stop or not. Don't afraid it. Disconnect means SSMS if disconnected, it won't stop your SQL server. Don't afraid it. And you can perform whatever operations you need to and here and you can perform whatever your operations. No need to connect object explorer. That is the shortcut. Even suppose I have disconnected session, after that new query window connect and this is a query window and you can perform whatever the operations. Even you keep on working in these sessions, you will become more stronger in SQL Server management studio as well. This is what we need to discuss today, and tomorrow we can come up with another concept. Thanks for everyone. Thanks for supporting.